Hello and welcome to The Print. I am Zenaira Bakhsh, and today we have with us Dr. Sanjeev Chopra. He is a retired IS officer and the author of We the People of Bharat, The Making and Remaking of India's Internal Boundaries. Dr. Chopra is also the festival director of Valley of Words, which is an arts and literature festival described as a celebration of India's writing and history. This year, the Valley of Words Lit Fest is happening on the 16th and 17th of December in Uttarakhand, and the print is the digital partner of the event. The event will have 100 authors, 12 book launches, discussions, theater, and a lot of music. So, basically, a little something for everyone interested in literature and arts. Thank you so much for taking out your time to speak to us, Dr. Chopra. To begin with, I want to know from you what the Valley of Words International Literature and Arts Festival is, when it started, and what can we expect from this year's event.
First of all, thank you, Zenaira, for this lovely interview. The Valley of Words, we started 7 years ago in 2017. We've always been based out of Dehradun, though the last few years we've moved out to other parts of the country as well. The purpose of Valley of Words, or VOW, or Shabdavali as we call it in Hindi, is to celebrate the word and all the expressions, all the creative expressions. And therefore, from 2017, we've been having authors, we've been having poetry sessions, Oshara, Kavi Sammelans, participation for youth. So 2, 3 points about a vision statement are very significant. One, that it is an intergenerational connect. We try to connect generations. We try to connect languages. We try to build bridges, because we do a lot of work on translations. We involve a lot of schools, we involve colleges, and we are volunteer driven. And most importantly, it is a free access, open access festival. So everybody comes and everybody we think, they have a good time, because that's why they keep coming year after year, year after year, year after year.
Okay, that's interesting. What makes the festival different from other literature festivals happening across India?
You see, there are at the moment about 275 odd literature festivals happening in the country. And I would
Right.
say that it is very good that there are literature festivals happening across the country, because each literature festival is very unique. Each literature festival caters to a very specific niche audience. And of course, because it lets people in that particular city or region travel to that festival. So every year, so we look at the best publications of that particular year. So in
Mm-hmm.
addition to this, we
Right.
also have our 12 afternoons with an author. That's an online session. And we have some sessions which are for authors from the Valley. But the unique proposition is that we celebrate books which have been nominated to WOW through our Book Award series. And then we give a lot of time. You see, in many festivals, you have just half an hour for a discussion. All the 8 WOW awardees have a 1 hour session. A 1 hour session with the person who has thoroughly immersed in that book. The discussant or the moderator is also someone who's very thoroughly read the book. Our volunteers go through the book. Our patrons go through the book. We do the reviews of the books that we are going to be discussing. So it's not just that an author comes and he's suddenly put into conversation. Each of the 40 books that we have shortlisted this year, all of them have been reviewed by the Book Review in English and by our own in-house publication for Hindi. Each of these 40 books is assigned to our volunteers, is assigned to various colleges, assigned to their faculty. So when the author comes and discusses, he can expect a very engaged discussion. So
Right.
everybody, not everybody, but we would say that at least 30 to 40% of the people who are present in the hall would have read the book. And it's these questions, when the author is asked intelligent questions, that is how you get that interest. Otherwise, an author is there and there's a chair, and you ask a few random questions, but that does not go into the it does not go into understanding why the book was written, how the book was written, what the author expects, what are the questions, and all these things, and what are the probable sequels to it. So that's what makes us very different. uh, and so so unlike many festivals which have conmen, and controversies, we don't have any of these. I mean, there's no There's no controversy. We don't swing to the left or to the right. We celebrate the best books that particular year.
Amazing. Since you talked about the Value of Words Awards, I would like to ask you what the Value of Words Awards are, and can you tell me on what basis are the winners chosen for the award?
Yes, thank you, Zenaira. What we do is, that first year we had appointed our own jury, which was basically, Dehradun has 13 universities, and we have a lot of ex-vice chancellors, a lot of ex-academics, a lot of retired civil servants, a lot of retired generals who settled here. So first year we formed our own internal jury, but from year two, the winner of the book award of a particular year, it's the jury for the next year, right? So this year, for example, Mrinal Pandey, who's won the award for the best non-fiction work in English, she will be the jury for next year's. And this sort of moves on, except when an author is writing a book and seeks to be recused, or if the author is abroad or wants to do something, which happens. One or two of the awardees may want to recuse themselves. Otherwise, seven out of eight, or sometimes all eight of the jury, of the heads of jury, are those who have been winners of the previous book. So that's how it continues. And the management of or the board of WOW is delinked from the process of selection of books. It is true that we invite the nominations, we curate a long list. That long list is based on the book reviews that have been published so far, is based on select sales from some of the bookshops that we are well aware of. We look into the issues of the libraries, what the librarians have to say about them. We curate a long list. And this long list we share with the jury members, and then they select the first five, then they select the top book. We have a discussion with the board, but in general, we go with whatever the jury feels is the best book in that particular year. There's only one thing that we do expect the winner to come and participate physically in it, because it's not just the book that we are awarding. We also would like the author to be in conversation with all the participants of the Value Awards, because anyone can read a book, but the point is that when you are in discussion with an author, that's when it becomes really one, and that's what we insist on.
Since you talked about all the research that goes behind it and the discussions that people can have with the author directly, how does such an event help in promoting the book reading culture among our youth? And also, how does it sort of promote our culture? Since the festival is not just about books, it's about music, it's about theater. How does it promote arts, culture, literature?
You asked me too many questions at once. So let's go by it question by question. So I think the first question was about how does it promote book reading. You see,
Yeah.
what happens is that when people visit the cafe, when they see the book review, see, the best way to induce someone to read a book is to get a good book review. Because a book review is 800 to 1,000 words, easier to read than a book which has got 250,000 words. So first is that if a book is good, then it must be reviewed. If it is reviewed and if this review is circulated, and in a language, and I want to point out another thing. You see, when a person reviews a book, and when that young adult, for example, if there's a book on young adults and that book is reviewed by a young adult, it caters to that particular age group, right? So the same book, you can get it reviewed by an academic, you can get it reviewed by a person who's on the social media, you can get it reviewed by a student, you can get it reviewed by a faculty. So our effort is to get the book reviewed across. I mean, there are students who review it, there are faculty members who review it, the TBR reviews it. I manage to review some of these books, and I do a weekly column on books. So point is that when five, six book reviews are published, that is how people get interested. I know for sure that a lot of people picked up, No Way In and this book on Hindi journalism after seeing the reviews. Now I know that Bhaga Hua Ladka, got a lot of audience because people started enjoying the review. So book reviews is one thing. Second is that when we have these conversations, when we have these shots, when we have these interviews, it sort of spreads the word. And one of the things is that today the mind space gets a lot of, I mean, every person's mind, there are a lot of attractions. So we have to place books and the authors in a perspective so that young people and people of my age and people who are even elder to me, they all are aware that these things are happening. And I do not agree with the view that, in fact, Dehradun is one city where bookshops are growing. I mean, we've had three new bookshops in Dehradun this year, which is very good. No bookshop is closed in Dehradun, for example. I mean, there's some cities where bookshops are closing, libraries are closing, but this is a reading and a writing city. We've got 13, 14 universities now. There's a culture of reading, there's a culture of book clubs. There's a culture of people wanting to read. So we promote that. The second question was about how do we promote theatre? Now, our effort here is, and that is something that we do in collaboration with the Young Indians, which is the youth wing of the CII, Confederation of Indian Industry. We ask all the we ask all the schools to create and curate their own one-act play for about 30 minutes on a given theme, because otherwise it's very difficult to, because these are all competitive plays. So last year, for example,
Right.
we done on Hum or Unity. This year the theme was G20. So every year we choose a theme and we invite students of college schools of Dehradun, and it's called Iti Natya. And the best two plays then get to be performed on the main stage of WOW, which is a big event in Dehradun, because all the town comes and people come from
Hmm.
also from Rishikesh and Haridwar, and some people also come from Delhi. Some people flying, from across to see these plays. And we just for the last 2 years, we've also started a vertical called Iti Nritya, because we felt that those who get established, they have a stage, but it's in the process of getting that stage. So young women and men in the age group of 18 to 25, they submit their videos, and the three best are again asked to come and perform at the bow stage. So that's how and then of course we our young volunteers, they do their traditional folk songs, they do their traditional dances. So that's how we sort of try to encourage everything. And for the last 6 years, seventh edition, the ITC Sangeet Research Academy at Kolkata, they send some of their best professionals to come and perform for us at the festival. So that's what we do.
Okay, okay. And since the event includes 12 book launches and 100 authors, which is huge, since you already talked about the process, how you select the books and how you select the authors, how does is the diversity intentional? Obviously, when there are 100 authors and 12 book launches, there are different languages and different mindsets coming together. So, how does this promote diversity?
You see, the very choice of, in fact, when you look at it, the eight authors who are selected are from English fiction, English non-fiction, Hindi non-fiction, translations from the Bhashas of Bharat into Hindi and English. So that itself is very diverse. So you have, for example, the book that we are discussing this year is a Maithili classic called Kanyadan, which was written in 1930s. So the book has been translated after 100 years. It's called The Bride, written by Hari Mohan Jha, now translated by Lalit Kumar. It talks about bride price, Kanyadan, and some of the themes are still relevant, right? So Bhaga Hua Ladka, for example, is a Bengali classic, written by it's part of the Chandal trilogy, so that comes from there. So each of our books, represents many different languages. It represents many different traditions, and the choice of books that we have for our sessions, I would certainly agree that there is because I've been the director of the Lal Bahadur Shastri Academy of Administration. So a lot of my own officers, a lot of my colleagues have written a lot of books. So there's certainly many more books by IAS, IPS, and foreign service officers in this festival than anywhere else, because they know me and I know them. So whatever books they've
Right.
written in the last year, we do we do. So we have the journey of a forest service officer, we have the journey of a diplomat, we have the reminiscences of IAS officers, memoirs, we have biographies, we have poems, we have romance, and writings for young children. So everything comes in this book launch category. So we tell books, and so there is diversity is built into the system, actually.
Great, great, amazing. What are some of the sessions that you personally are looking forward to and would like to recommend to our audience today?
Now that's a very tough question, Zenaira. I mean, I have completed each of these 36 sessions. And you don't want me to start. I mean, I don't want to. I can't say this is
Anything that comes to your mind.
no. See, what I would say is that all sessions are absolutely great, but I would say that the exhibition. Let me talk about the exhibition because one of the exhibitions that we're doing is Evam Vadati Pustakam. This exhibition was there at the India International Center, and it was a fantastic exhibition. This is done by Samhita, the South Asian manuscripts. And it's got it's a fantastic celebration of the manuscript, a celebration of the written or the word as in a calligraphic style, right? So this is an exhibition that I would strongly recommend everyone to come and watch because this is going to be a rare. It's going to be a rare event of its kind. Intact is setting up an exhibition which will talk about the journey of Intact. Then we also have an exhibition called Village Voices, which are portraits and frames from rural India, so that those of us who are in urban settings can relate to this. So I'll talk about exhibitions. I'll because each of the sessions is equally good. So I'll not get into this controversy of which is the best of the session. I would personally enjoy all the sessions, right?
So, sir, since we talked about the young adult literature and contemporary literature scenario in India, how can a literature festival like this one contribute to that?
It is certainly because these go together. Once we have, as I mentioned earlier, once there is a one, it encourages publishers to encourage writings for young adults. Earlier, if you recall, I mean, at least in my time, there was no specific category for young adult literature. There was writings for children and there were writings for adults. Now, this category is really growing, and publishers will start getting attracted to it once they find that there are sales happening. One thing is for sure that once a book is longlisted or shortlisted or selected at a festival, the sales do tend to pick up. In fact, after every session, we make an announcement say that please buy a book and do it. So sales really do go up, and I think this really gives a boost to the writer, and the writer he or she is encouraged to write more. So that's one thing. And as we discussed very early in the course of this interview, the more people read books, the more people interact with books, the more people interact with words, the better it would be for literature festivals as well. Be better for the readers of print. It'll be better for the book publishers. So it's like just as you get an audience for sports, you get an audience for political news, you get an audience for finance news, you get an audience for those who are only looking at Sensex. There are people who are fond of books, but I think this is a category which did not really get what it wanted in a very specific manner, right? Because books and magazines and things devote sometimes one page or 2 pages at the end of the week to books and literature, right? So we want to increase that space, and we feel that in a country of our size, of our magnitude, and given the numbers of young readers who are there in our country, we feel that the time for literature festivals, books, and discussions on books, the time has come. It's time to celebrate the world.
That was really insightful, sir. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we really hope that the event turns out to be a huge success. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Zenaira. Thank you to the print.